Technology is evolving faster than we imagined, and China is taking every advantage of this change, especially in the automobile industry.
China has become the world's largest auto exporter, and it is just starting to
China is now the #1 country when it comes to making cars.
Chinese automakers have been taking the lead in the production of electric vehicles. They've seen a boom in sales at home and have turned their attention abroad.
China is already the world's biggest producer of cars.
Over the past decade, China has surpassed the United States and Europe to become the largest automobile market in the world, both in terms of sales and ownership. China's EV leaders like BYD, XPeng, Geely, and Nio are taking over the global EV market, causing fear for legacy automakers and the West in general. So it's safe to say China has completely taken over the automobile industry. All these are made in China, from SUVs to sedans, minivans, and even sports cars. And it's not just about the variety, it's also about the price. This is the recently released BYD Zeekr, currently selling at a price of just under $10,000 US. The cheapest electric car in the United States costs over 4 times this amount, and in Europe, over 3 times this amount. This is China's recently released Xiaomi SU7 EV. Even China's Huawei has an EV line, and here I am at an EV outlet in Guangdong, China. This is just one of many automakers scattered all around China, and many are not even recognized globally, but they sell cars like this at less than $27,000 US.
What do you think about all these cars?
I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you see the car's doors?
Ferrari?
Yes, Ferrari.
Yeah, like a Ferrari. That's true. That's true.
So many young people love this.
No one ever believed a country like China could ever survive in the automobile industry. But lately, it's very hard to even count the number of EV brands in China because, of course, there are so many different models and different brands. And these brands are all spreading their wings across the world, like in Europe, Africa, South America, and even ready to take over the United States market. So the question that everyone is asking right now is, how are Chinese EVs so cheap? As a matter of fact, how did China even get to this level in the automobile industry within the space of only a decade, crushing legacy auto giants like Toyota, Ford, and Volkswagen?
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world, the world of 1960. For the first time in history, you'll see not one, not two, but 3 completely new kinds of Ford cars for 1960. A wonderful new world of Fords.
Well, the automobile industry has always been an emblem of modern civilization, employing millions and generating billions. For over a century, the automobile industry has been dominated by the West. The United States, with its big 3, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, reigned supreme, while in Europe, brands like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes set the standards for engineering excellence. By the 1950s, USA's Detroit was even known as the Motor City, the heart of American automobile manufacturing. But fast forward to today, everything looks very different and it's all changing fast. Many of these factories are now silent. The industry that once symbolized American ingenuity has faced enormous challenges, and a significant part of this shift can be traced back to one location: China. China in recent years has grown to completely reshape the global automobile industry, making the United States and European unions very worried about China's huge exports of cheap EVs, leading to more efforts in trying to stop China's EV growth and exports in many different ways. China's journey from a minor player to the world's largest automobile market is nothing short of extraordinary. In the 1980s, China's car industry was practically non-existent, with most citizens using bikes for commute. Then came 2009, and China had overtaken the United States as the world's biggest car market.
Think the wheels are coming off the global car business? Think again. China's soaring sales, coupled with falling U.S. demand, make this for the moment the world's largest car market.
But though is China's auto sector. Passenger car sales last month jumped 90% as tax cuts and government subsidies spurred on demand. And the government predicts that full-year auto sales may hit 12 million units, which may push China ahead of the U.S. as the world's biggest auto market.
And around the same time, American billionaire Warren Buffett saw the future of the industry in China and invested in China's BYD.
Call it the continued BYD promotional roadshow, and investor Warren Buffett brought his buddy Bill Gates along for the ride here in Beijing.
It was fantastic. I'm amazed at the quality.
So how did this happen? How did China get to this point in the auto industry? It all started with a vision. In the late 20th century, when China's leaders realized that to become a global economic power, they needed to modernize their own industries. The automobile sector was a prime target. One of China's key strategies was forming joint ventures with established Western automakers. Companies like Volkswagen, General Motors, and Toyota were eager to tap into the vast Chinese market, and China used this to their own advantage. These partnerships weren't just about selling cars, they were about technology transfer. So Chinese companies learned the strategies, gained access to cutting-edge technology, and even started building their own competitive brands, which we all see today. All these multiple brands that we all see in China today started small. Then came the electric revolution. Chinese automakers realized they couldn't beat the West in combustion engine manufacturing. And while traditional automakers were slow to pivot, China saw an opportunity. The Chinese government heavily encouraged electric vehicle manufacturers, aiming to reduce pollution and decrease dependency on oil imports. All these moves then led to the birth and growth of companies like BYD, Nio, and XPeng, who today are not just competing in the auto industry, but they are leading globally. In 2023 alone, China dominated the global electric vehicle market, accounting for up to 60% of total global sales and overtaking Japan to become the world's largest car exporter. But China's ambitions do not stop at its borders. With the rising competition in China's mainland, Chinese automakers are now setting their sights on the global market. They've established factories in Europe, entered partnerships in North America, and are rapidly expanding in developing countries. But as I've mentioned before, these expansions are not without hurdles and difficulties. The United States government and the European Union leaders have launched counter-offensives against the influx of Chinese EVs into their markets, accusing China of using unfair trade practices and giving their EV companies a competitive advantage. But the Chinese government has denied all these accusations. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen launched an investigation into subsidies on EVs by the Chinese government.
Our industries and tech companies like competition. They know that global competition is good for business and that it creates and protects jobs here in Europe. We have not forgotten how China's unfair trade practices affected our solar industry. Many young businesses were pushed out by heavily subsidized Chinese competitors.
This value chain benefits from unfair subsidiarization, which is causing a threat of economic injury to EU battery electric vehicles producers. On this basis, the Commission has reached out to the Chinese authorities to discuss these findings and explore possible ways for resolving the issues identified.
The United States government has slapped 100% tariff on all EVs from China into the United States, up from 25%. making it very hard for Chinese EVs to break into the United States market. All these sanctions and tariffs have only one aim: to curb China's global EV domination. But in most cases, these tariffs and sanctions on Chinese EVs seem to be backfiring on the US and European markets because China just can't seem to stop innovating, as the world is starting to see more Chinese cars on their roads, and this seems to be just the beginning. One huge advantage that China's EVs like BYD has had over the years is due to a strong foundation and history. When we look at the foundation of BYD and how far they have come, we can clearly see the reason why they dominate so much. I personally believe innovation has been the core of BYD's success, and of course other auto giants here in China, as BYD, for example, has invested heavily in research and development, focusing on improving battery technology, which is key to EV manufacturing, and of course, putting more efforts into their vehicle design and manufacturing processes. This has definitely helped BYD skyrocket really fast, and that's the reason why BYD has become a threat to many global giants that we all see today. And that's because with all these benefits, BYD gets an advantage over other automakers. BYD, for example, manufactures most of their own parts. That's about 75% according to Baude, giving them a competitive advantage as it helps avoid delays in production as compared to other automakers who have to source most of their parts from other companies, which is time consuming and expensive. So with BYD avoiding all these hurdles, it contributes to keep their prices as low as under $10,000 US. BYD's vertical integration gives them an incredible cost advantage, as they have even invested in everything from the mining to the ships that carry their cars, and this in general gives China's automobile industry a huge advantage over foreign car makers. Now millennials, the truth is that the landscape of the global auto industry has been irreversibly altered, and China continues to innovate and expand. The rest of the world is left with one main question: can anyone keep up? Well, it's for the good of everyone, because at this point, I believe everyone can afford electric vehicles right now, or at least almost everyone, which is definitely a good thing. We just have to keep our fingers crossed now and see how the Western powers will handle this situation. Like this video, subscribe to this channel for more videos like this weekly. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, this is Willen. See you next time.